Maxwell, this week's episode could be our best chat of the year so far, or at least my best chat.
Look, I'm not in it, so I won't put my name on it, but
I won't say our then.
you do have a very good chat here with Alex Lahey.
Yeah, it was a really good chat. She was tuning in from LA ahead of her 10th anniversary of...
B Grade University.
Yes, sorry, I did know that. But it was a really good chat. We talked in depth about, I guess, her 10-year journey from the launch of B Grade University to now. We talked footy. We talked podcasts. She was the coach at Melbourne's iteration of the RecLink Community Cup.
So one last shout, if you're listening this weekend, it is this weekend.
Yeah, it's on Sunday. It's in 2 days. But yeah, we talked Kate McCarthy, AFL commentator. Like, it was a really good in-depth chat. I don't want to spoil it too much, but genuinely one of my favorite chats that I've ever done to date.
I think when I was going through this, editing it up, getting it nice and ready for broadcast, one of the best parts of this chat is what I would call a throwaway question, but that turned into a great story with Alex Lahey talking about how she came to cover Welcome to the Black Parade by My Chemical Romance, and kind of her finding out just how much that song means to a lot of people.
Yeah.
So yeah, stick around. Great chat. Sam, I'm going to throw to you, chatting to Alex Lahey.
Off the back of the announcement of her B Grade University reunion tour, we're joined on the show by Alex Lahey. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
It's our pleasure. I mean, there's a lot to talk about. I want to dive into a lot of different sort of avenues of, the Alex Lahey experience, but we start the show the same way every week, I should say. And that is to just get an idea of what's spinning in your playlists.
What's been in my playlist? Well, I feel like there's a lot of exciting stuff that's been coming out lately. I've been curious about the new Olivia Rodrigo album. I gave that a listen the other day. And then obviously there's new Gracie Abrams coming out, which seems to be taking over my algorithm. But on top of that, there's a new record from a band I love called Feeble Little Horse that came out. If anyone likes some weird stuff, they're great. And along with another band called Chanel Beads. But one of my favorite bands out of the UK who I've loved for years called The Big Moon have just put out a new single from what's going to be their new album. So I'm excited about that. But when I was in the car earlier today, I was listening to some Notorious B.I.G. So it's sort of a bit of everything.
The mix is there. You mentioned Olivia Rodrigo before. What's your take on the new album? We spoke about it on the show, and my co-host Max had some mixed feelings as a mad Olivia fan. So, I mean, from your perspective, what was your take?
I mean, I think that she is an amazing songwriter and has really kind of cemented herself in being someone who will probably be omnipresent for the next few decades. I'm really excited to see how she grows, say in 8 years' time. I'm really curious to see what Olivia Rodrigo's folklore is, or something like that. But she's a long ways off doing something like that, and that's fair enough. Because she's got a thing that she's exploring and building, which is great. But I think, it's nice to have an artist who's at the epicenter of pop culture and the pop music discussion, who clearly gives a huge fuck about songwriting, and clearly is really devoted to her craft. And, is it a record that I'm going to listen to again and again and again? Probably not, but I'm really glad that it exists, and I'm really glad that she exists. I think that she's a positive force. And on top of that, she's sort of, telling all these young people about all these other artists of different eras and scenes and points in history that is really exciting. Didn't she take the Breeders out on tour or something like that? And she's got this sick music festival that she's putting on with some amazing artists, really you're opening the floor to women in music, but of all ages and career stages and all this kind of, I think that that's sick. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
I think
Yeah.
she's a very needed presence in pop music, particularly at that scale. I think, yeah, what she's doing is
Yeah, I'm
awesome.
glad it's her. You know, I'm glad it's her. Yeah, that's how I feel about it.
100%. Love it. Well, before we dive into all things Alex Lahey, the musician, I want to talk Alex Lahey, the coach, for a second.
Yes, Coach Al.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank
Reckling
you.
Cup victory. And
Wanna
now,
wanna wanna know, baby. Let's go.
I mean, how was the game? I mean, for those listening, this will be the first time we've talked about it on air, but I'm playing in the Brisbane Reckling Cup.
Oh, did you? Oh, sick.
It's it's at the end of the month, so I'm lacing up the boots. But you know,
Oh.
in Melbourne, how was the game? How was the atmosphere?
It was amazing. Like I've been a fan and a patron of the Community Cup for many, many, many years, having been from Melbourne originally. And I've had so many friends and peers like be directly involved in playing the game or coaching or whatever. And so when I got the call last year, initially it was like a dream come true, but I couldn't make it work,
Yeah.
scheduling wise. And then I was just like, but please, like, ask me next year. And like, I have a feeling that I'll be free. Like, just ask me. And the email came back around and I was able to swing it. And yeah, it was so much fun. Um, it's so nice to be part of a team when a lot of your work is on your own.
Yeah.
And I think that, and I'm sure the megahertz are the same, but to speak to the Rock Dogs specifically, who were the team I was coaching, like their culture and value of community and respecting others and giving everyone a go and diversity and acceptance and encouragement was just such a powerful and fun thing to be around. Um, and and I got into it as well. Like I know footy enough to contribute maybe. Like at one point I took a defensive huddle and
Oi.
which was cool.
Yeah.
And that was fun. And yeah, it was really great. And we had shit weather like all week up until the game, and then get day of like the clouds parted, and it was just like a beautiful like crisp cold Melbourne day, and it rocked. It was great. 10,000 people rolled up. Amazing.
That's insane. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like even in the trainings I've had, you don't sort of realize how much it means to the community and how like big a deal it is, how fun it is. Like it's an awesome event.
Yeah, it's so cool. And yeah, shout out to like the Pub Footy League, like in Melbourne as well, for like, we got to play a scratch match against the Stingo Easy Beats, the Yorkshire Stingo crew, which coincidentally is coached by my best friend who we met on the first day of year 7 in high school over
Oh, no
footy.
way.
And they've been best friends ever since. And he happened to be the coach of that team. And so we got to coach against each other, which was pretty fun.
How cool. Full circle moment almost.
Totally. Yeah.
Well, look, as we mentioned up the top, we're celebrating 10 years of the B Grade University EP, which for so many people was a massive introduction to you. In mid 2016, tell us where, a wee Alex was in life. Did she have an inkling that this EP would be as successful as it turned out to be?
I don't know. I think I hoped so. I was so hungry. And yeah, I was in a band for many years before that. And I just wanted to make music and I just wanted to be on the road. And then that turned into like just wanting to like write songs and write good songs, whatever that meant, and trying to figure that out. And so like, I guess the B Grade University EP is kind of like the first collection of songs that I wrote and was a part of that had that sort of like in focus the entire time. And that's kind of become my whole thing. Like, since then and before then, like that's my that's what I feel like my strength is and what I look to in myself and what I look for in other, like, talking about the Olivia record, to me it's all about like the songs. And so yeah, like like anyone else, I kind of hoped that it would be a thing, but I'd made a bunch of things before that weren't the thing. And those
Yeah.
things that weren't the thing enable the thing that is the thing to be the thing. Like it's all a part of a bigger, I guess like canon and just like timeline. But you know what? Like there are a whole lot of people who have had a bit of luck with a song or a record or something, and it's happened to be something that they don't like very much. And then they have to like live with that for their entire careers or lives or, even beyond,
Yeah.
their lifespan. Um, and I feel really lucky that I don't feel that way about this. I
It,
actually feel pretty good about this record still. And I felt good about it at the time. And then I was just living with it. Like,
yeah.
and now 10 years on, like reflecting on it in a really like palpable way, I still feel good about it. So I feel, grateful that that's my experience.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely a positive that you don't hate the songs. I think that's the first
Yeah.
win.
There are a lot of people who
But
hate the songs that they put out. And, there are some songs of mine that I don't, love or, like hold close in that way. But these ones, like, I kind of always have, and that's nice. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, you spoke just then about, your appreciation for Olivia Rodrigo in her, really caring about the songs, and you're the same. And you're dropping a remastered reunion edition and bringing in some pretty big names to help sort of reinterpret the songs. We've got Tegan and Sara, and we've also got Slowly Slowly coming in for a bit of a new take on Let's Go Out. Do these songs, I guess, take on a new meaning now that you've got friends jumping on and, collaborating, or do they have, or is it just sort of like a nice revisit of, the memories in a way?
I think a bit of both. Like, I think, like, the songs will, kind of always mean what they mean to me, but then they're kind of like, it's like the moss growing fat on a Rolling Stone thing. Like,
Yeah.
you put out these songs and with any luck, they get a little bit of momentum and they kind of gather. Like, they start gathering things along the way as they sort of roll. And I feel like, um, that's sort of what has happened to them. But the stone is still there, and and I still know what that is. But to look at the things that they've gathered along the way, like, these were the songs that enabled me to quit my job and go on tour and start doing what I do professionally. And with that has come so many experiences and new places and new friends and, depth in existing relationships and love and heartbreak and a lot of my own growth and sort of like self-discovery. And so when I think about these songs, I think in essence what they're about is the same for me anyway. But what they've given me has sort of continued to grow and with this record, like it grows again. And the reason why I got Tegan and Sarah on this record is because they were such a like formative part of those really early days for me, like prior to this record coming out and prior to me even like learning how to play guitar. Like I was listening to their records and they were a really important part of my language and vocabulary as a music listener. Um,
Yeah.
and then as a songwriter and as someone who plays music. And they took me out on my first international tour and they're really baked into a lot of personal milestones in that way and have become friends and yeah, it was just awesome to just shoot off a text message to my friends Tegan and Sarah and get them on the song, like like that's a crazy
Yeah.
notion to me. And Yeah, so that was really really lovely. And then slowly and specifically Ben, who fronts the band, he's a relatively new friend. And it's kind of funny because we're both born and raised in Melbourne playing music. And about 2 or 3 years ago, I DM'd him and I was like, dude, it's really weird that you and I have never met. Like, it's so strange. It's so against the odds. I was like, let's just get coffee and get it done with. Like,
Yeah.
and we went out and got coffee and a very quick friendship emerged. Like obviously we're peers and have sort of walked these parallel paths in many ways, but we're also like quite compatible buddies. And we love to have a laugh and talk shit and talk music and all that and compare notes and all that sort of stuff. And I just think Ben is I think he is so devoted to everything he does. He has a beautiful intensity about him in all facets of his life, and he's always looking to do the best that he can in all of those things. And I think he's a masterful songwriter and musician and producer, and he cares very, very deeply about what he does, and he's also just fun to be around. So yeah, like it sort of was that natural thing where you become buddies, and it's like, hey, let's make some music together, and then this is sort of like what it's turned into, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it feels like almost the fruition of 10 years of hard work and the friends you've brought along the way. I love that.
Yeah,
I mean,
for real. Yeah.
you spoke on the drive, and you always wanted this as a career, knowing you had to. I mean, I read not too long ago you had to sell your car to finance the recording sessions. It's crazy how everything sort of makes sense in hindsight. Like, you had to go through all those risk-taking moments to make the record, and then all of a sudden it's the gateway into the career you've always wanted. It's sort of weird how life happens in that way.
Yeah, totally. Like I think you know, you got to back yourself and have a go. And I think that like for anyone pursuing, well, I say music or the arts, but I think also anyone like really, really anyone like starting their own business or project or whatever that is, you have to have some sort of inherent appetite for risk. Because like you said, like, you take the risk and you take the punt and you take the shot and um, yeah, and you just sort of see how it goes. And I remember like, um, yeah, I remember making the record and I was like, I'm gonna like, yeah, I need to sell my car to pay for it, and I'm just gonna do it. And so I did it. And then what happened, I remember the this is kind of a weird tangent, but like the record came out and it sort of started to get on the radio and stuff. And I had all these record labels wanting to sign the record in Australia. And they were like, we'll give you X amount of money like for this record. And I was like, but I've already paid for the record. So like I'm not going to give you this record for the money that I think the record's actually worth more than that.
Yeah,
And because I had sold the car and done the thing, I'd sort of backed myself, and in doing so, like I still own the record, and it's just like funny how yeah, you sort of like in the moment make these decisions just to get something done, and then sometimes like the fallout is that it kind of goes even better than you thought it did. And you know what, like it sounds like a cliche, but what is it? It's like you miss 100% of the shots you don't take or whatever. Like it's true, like so just
100% is true.
but yeah, but that's the thing you have to do every single day. Like even, every day I think about stuff. I'm like, oh, maybe I should do this or maybe I should do that. It's all well and good to like think about it. And and you got to think about it and you got to take time to do it. But like at the end of the day, like you just do it.
Just do it.
Um, just do it and back
Yeah,
yourself. But
exactly.
obviously with like an educated, like, don't go like refinancing your house or something because you want to make a rock record unless you like, like think about it first.
100%.
But every now and then something comes up in life and you're at a crossroads and you're like, maybe I'm just going to take the risk and see what happens. And for that particular risk, yeah, it paid off.
100%. Yeah. Sometimes you can fuck around and find out, but other times it pays off.
Yeah.
And look, I don't want to jump into next year already, but it'd be, I guess, remiss of me not to mention that next year will be the 10-year anniversary of I Love You Like a Brother.
Yes.
More so the angle that I want to go down is, with the gap between then and now, which of the releases between the two do you feel like has had a bigger impact on your career as a whole?
I don't know. Like, that's a really good question. Probably I Love You Like a Brother, maybe. But like, I don't know, like you also like you only get your first record once, And like, and for me, I consider that to be B grade university. even though it's not an album. But like that was my first like release and global release, and sort of the first like, it was like a campaign, we had to tour around and all that sort of stuff. But I Love You Like a Brother, like, is also a very, very special record for me. And and I feel like it's a record that is kind of a mystery to me how it even happened. Um, like I think about B Grade and the subsequent records after, like, B Grade and the other two albums that I put out, Best of Luck Club and Answers Always Yes. And I can really place myself like in the moment and the space and the time and I can recall takes, that we did of making those records. Um, and they have a very sure sense of time and place for me, which is beautiful. Um, I Love You Like a Brother is kind of interesting because that record was piecemealed together through a lot of like through some very intense touring um, times for me, and I was going through an enormous life transition trying to deal with that. I felt very disconnected from home, a sense of place and people, and I was kind of just getting through it. And the record sort of happened all among that. And so I can't kind of place myself in the making of it as much as I can the others. And I and so to me it's kind of like this mystery, which is also like has a lot of beauty in it in many ways too, because like, when art just feels like it happens, like that's why we gravitate towards art and music, and like,
Yeah.
it's like it feels like magic to us. And it's sort of funny to have that relationship with a record of your own where you're like, I don't really know how that happened. But it did. And so yeah, I mean, that doesn't really answer your question much at all, but like I've I do, yeah, like as much as I've been talking about B Grade University a lot over the last couple of months, yeah, I Love You Like a Brother um, means a lot to me. And I will say that we probably would have had an I Love You Like a Brother 10-year thing, but it's likely that I'll have a new album out next year. So like that's why that's not happening.
No, that's okay. I'm glad you said
Yeah.
that because my next question was going to be, will you be celebrating the anniversary? But it sounds like we've got some more exciting things to to look forward to
Yeah, I
anyway.
gotta move on, man. I gotta move on to new shit. Yeah.
Otherwise, you're just yeah, you can't be doing the John Farnham reunion tours.
I
It's
know.
not
I'll
it.
save that for later, but like, in like 35 years. But like, yeah, I need to put out a new record. That's a bigger bottom line for me than touring I Love You Like a Brother again. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a perfect segue. We were going to ask this a little bit later, but if there's an album on the horizon, what are you sort of able to tell us about some potential new music for our listeners that are excited for some new stuff?
Yeah, this new record that I've almost signed off on, like very, very close to signing off on, has been it's been a really long process, and honestly a really challenging project. But I think it's good. I'm excited about it. I'm excited about finishing it, and I'm excited about people hearing it. Um, and there are some songs on there that I'm enormously proud of. I won't sort of spill the beans too much, but the record got made between here in Los Angeles, where I am right now, and Norway. It's
Okay.
been like a very interesting process, and it like from the beginning of it to finishing it has proven to be perhaps one of the biggest professional challenges and creative challenges that I've undertaken. Um, and uh, but I think it's paid off. So yeah, it's like that all sounds a bit nebulous, but but I got a lot of advice from a lot of people as I was making the record, um, about I was having a lot of issues just starting it. I was very afraid to start
Okay.
writing songs for this. And I remember having a few coffees with some people, mentors and just people I admire. Um, and I ended up at Paul Kelly's house one day, and I said to him, I was like, I'm so scared, like to to write songs, and he, he sort of went into that for a bit, and as I was walking out the door, he was like, "Have you ever thought about writing songs that aren't about you?" And he's obviously like the master of that.
Yeah.
That's like so much a part of his like voice. And I was like, oh, seems really hard. And he was like, we should think about it. And so that was like something that really stayed with me. And there's quite a bit of the new record that's led by that um piece of advice or suggestion rather. Yeah.
Yeah. It sort of unlocked I guess, the creative block that, you're otherwise struggling with. That's cool.
Yeah.
I love that. Well, look, I'm sure fans will be absolutely frothing at the bit to hear that, but I won't press. I know there's, you can't tell us everything, but before we get into tour chat, because you are hitting the US for some shows, you're coming back to Australia for some shows, I want to chat podcast if I can with Al,
Yes.
Kate and all their mates. You've had some massive names on the show already. Broden Kelly, Ben Stewart, Darcy Vesio for some AFL fans listening. But, how's that been for you as a creative step away from music and just being able to, talk shit with friends?
Yeah, it's been great. Like Kate and I have been friends for a really long time. Just we met through when she was when she was playing for the Saints. When she was playing for the Saints AFLW team. I'm a big Saints fan, and when they started the team, I just reached out to the email on the website and was like, "Hi, I'm Alex, and I play music, and I love the Saints, and if there's anything I can do, please let me know." And ended up doing a couple of like events for them, and Kate and I met through that and became really good buddies. And we always wanted to do a project together because we thought it would be fun, you know. And and yeah, this podcast idea kind of emerged, and we sort of wanted to do something that um you know, I think dispels the kind of traditional silos that people put the arts and sport in, especially in Australia.
Yeah.
And for me, like, I think that the way that sport is revered in Australia is such a amazing thing. And I want to see that in like the arts and how we celebrate the arts in Australia and musicians and people in theatre and visual art and whatever that may be. And so yeah, this podcast is kind of like born out of that. And and yeah, I mean, we've had some pretty fun people on, which has been cool. Some of them you've mentioned. Um, I'll tell you that the upcoming episode we have Matthew Richardson on it, and
Sick.
and he's the best. He just walked into the studio and he's like, "We're not talking about footy, we're talking about music." And he had this like pile of CDs he'd bought from home that he wanted to talk about. And
That's
like, and it
sick.
was like, so it's fun seeing people like that come in and want to show a different side of themselves. You know, they're like, I don't want to talk about football, or like, I don't want to talk about music or comedy. It's like, Lizzie who came on last week and she's like, I want to talk about how much I'm playing golf. And we're like, great, let's talk about that. Like, people are multifaceted and have heaps of interests and are interesting. And yeah, it's really fun to be doing that. And I don't know, it's just fun making stuff with friends. You know what it's like.
100%. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it's the
absolutely.
best.
And
Yeah.
ironically, before we sort of took the pod seriously, I was working with the Brisbane Lions in their social media team, and it's
Oh, no way.
amazing. It's amazing how the crossover is always there between music and sport. I mean, I won't name the players, but there's at the Lions in my time a group of 4 guys who every month would have a record night. They'd go on Marketplace and put in, I think it was about $50 each to buy a whole huge crate of random records, and they'd have some wine, have a music night, and like split up the records and just talk about albums. It's sick.
Dude, that's awesome. Like it's such a special thing, and yeah, I just like I want to see those walls taken down. And I mean the Community Cup is an amazing way like to do that. And if it gets more people, if musicians watching this thing gets them playing community sport, then that's awesome, and if it gets like, I don't know, someone who's a bit of a sports person suddenly being like, hey, like, why don't I try doing stand up or something like that? Like, that's
Yeah.
sick too. Um, yeah, and it should be celebrated and encouraged. So yeah, it's been a fun little project, and it's been a real, honestly, like a real joy of the past like 12 months of my life to, yeah, to be working with Kate like this, and just being goofballs, and also like a shout out to our friend and producer Julia, who is the third part of the beast. Um, and like, yeah, just the three of us, like, um problem solving and brainstorming and coming up with ideas and then meeting people, and like, yeah, it's really great. It's a really cool thing.
I love that. And I think also to shout out Kate Mack, because her analytical knowledge of the game
Dude,
is
it's crazy.
incredible. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
she's a
it's
monster, man. Like, yeah, she's just such a lead. She's a leader in her field, She's so, so
yeah.
good. And to do what she does, like, fuck, you have to have a thick skin, Jesus. Like, she's so resilient and so strong and so remarkable. Um, and she's like, and she's the funniest person you'll ever meet. Like, she's so funny and so kind and generous. And she's, like, I mean, I knew this before we started doing this project together. Like, she's a fantastic friend. And yeah, and it's been such a joy for me just watching her find her place in, the industry that she's a part of and the landscape that she occupies, and to thrive. And I went to some bloody event with like, she took me to this golf event once, and like Nick Rewald comes up to her, not us. I was going to say us. Like, he came up to her, and he's just like, but he's just talking to her with like such respect and reverie, and I'm like, this is amazing. Like, this is the coolest thing ever. So yeah, she's
Yeah.
she's such a sick person. It's awesome.
And look, I tell you what, you talk about resilience. To see her just stand up to all, I guess, the toxic fans in the AFL and just be like, fuck you. I think that's awesome.
They all just want a job, man. But like,
100%.
they all just want a job, but there's no one better than Kate Mack.
No, no. What she's
Nah.
doing is awesome, and she's leading the way. But back to the music. Like I said, you are playing a few shows in America, then you're coming back home to play some shows all across Australia. You know, 2016, long time ago. Are you still partying the same? Have you matured? Is it just like a cheeky red after the show and not, a few
Oh my
a few
God.
UDLs?
UDLs. No, the writer couldn't cover those. The I party the same. I don't know if I ever really partied that hard. I remember I've got a system now. I think like in
Okay.
the early days, I was sort of like, oh, just see how I feel. And like, it only takes once or twice that it gets away from you that you're like, I'm never doing that again.
Yeah.
Um, and um, but I have like systems now that I didn't have 10 years ago. I also like, even just like 3 years ago, I started doing vocal coaching, which is something I'd never done before. So now I have a routine that I go through before I play. But I mean, the my sort of like rules that I have for myself is that I don't drink unless there's a day off after.
Yep.
And that's like not to get drunk, but just because like don't sleep as well if I have a couple of wines, even, like I'm in my 30s now. Like, that's that's what happened.
Yeah.
But but yeah, I've sort of always been like pretty chill on that kind of thing. And I think a part of that is like, like I like I feel a great sense of responsibility to the people that I'm on the road with. Um, I don't want to be the person that has to be looked after, and then like, and is also kind of their boss, and like, it's like the dynamic's weird anyway,
Yeah.
like you're working with friends a lot of the time. And it's like, I don't know, like, I just want to be really respectful of all the like ways that the relationships exist. Um, but of course, like at the end of a tour or whatever, like we need to have fun.
100%.
And when, you know, like touring, especially when you're like van touring in the US or whatever, like you need to have fun and blow off steam sometimes. Um, but the way that that looks, yeah, like it's definitely like it morphs and it changes over the years, but I don't think I was ever really that heavy of a partier on the job, um, if I'm honest. But yeah, it's a good question.
Consummate professional. But it's
Maybe.
interesting you raised the relationship thing because it is true. You've got all these guys coming on tour with you. They're here for your shows, but at the same time, like if you're their boss, but their colleague, and at the same time, if you're, getting on it, it's a really weird dynamic to manage.
Yeah, I mean, the music industry is fraught with like things that happen because of the blurriness of these things and because of like um power dynamics and imbalances that are unclear or taken advantage of or the wool's pulled over people's eyes. Like it's a pretty high risk environment for that kind of thing. And then, and then you add alcohol and drugs and like and adrenaline and like and all of these other things that like are part and parcel of the touring experience. Not that I'm suggesting that I'm partaking in some of these things, but like the fact of the matter is like yeah, it's really risky and it's unregulated and it's not like you can go to HR if something, even if something was to
Yeah.
happen to me, like who do I go to? So yeah, it's just like I think I always lead with whenever I tour, I actually do have a document that I send out to people who are coming on the road, and it's sort of like I don't want to say code of conduct. I call it the starter pack. And
Yep.
and it's just like this is how we roll. And like, and we treat everyone with respect and and there are certain things that I've observed on the road over the years that I don't really like that I've put in there. It's like I don't think that putting someone down is funny. Like I don't think that
Mm.
making someone feel uncomfortable or feel like I don't think that's not a good vibe. That's not camaraderie. It's just kind of gross. So
Yeah.
like sort of things like that and if anyone does have a problem with anything, it's like, you can talk to me or you can talk to whoever you may need to talk to and sort of just kicking things off with that kind of like uh I guess like again, I don't want to say ground rules because like we're all adults, but just like expectations and kind of just like vibe check,
Yeah.
like that's sort of it. And like yeah, it's I think it's an important thing and the feedback that I've got from doing that from most people have been like, first of all, this has made me really excited for the tour because it's like any sort of orientation pack, you kind of get a bit buzzed, or at least
Yeah.
I do. But like but also it's like it just makes people feel uh involved in the conversation and like they know the lay of the land and they sort of know what they're getting into.
Yeah.
Um yeah, I always want to have like good hangs and a good positive environment and we're so lucky to do what we do, so just sort of like celebrating that within the team and I think that that comes out on stage and it comes out in how we interact with our audience and fans and that kind of thing too.
Yeah. That's really cool. To be honest, I've never heard, or at least in our conversations with artists, I've never heard anything similar to that. But it makes so much sense having structure in an otherwise very unstructured environment and having everyone
Yeah.
buy into this is what we're about. And if you're not into it, then you're probably not going to fit in with our crew, and that's okay. But we want to be aligned in the same values. And yeah, I think that's awesome.
Yeah, it's also just like not hard to read a room. Like it's not like anything in the thing is like you can't do this or you can't do that or you can only have two beers before. It's like you're an adult. Like you can,
Yeah.
you can make these decisions, yourself and you just like do what you think is like the right is it matches the vibe. And if it's not the right fit, then maybe it's not the right fit or we talk about whatever. Like,
Mm.
there's it's not the be all end all. Like yeah, it's you just want to make it as easy and smooth and fun and organized as possible and make people feel like they're being looked after because, that's like I said, it's a hard gig and that's the main thing.
It's been a long time, like we said, since the initial launch of B Grade University. Have there had to have been, sorry, any sort of YouTube covers, nights in, trying to re-jog the memory about how to play these songs? Have they been mainstays in the set list for the entirety?
Yeah, there's definitely some mainstays. Like, I mean, it'll be interesting to see which version of You Don't Think You Like People Like Me and Let's Go Out will play. I haven't decided on that. But the one thing I do need to remember is that the song Leave Me Alone, which is the closer on the record, um, I think we played in a different key to what I recorded it in, and that's like tripped us up before where we've had different people in the band playing the same song in a different key and it sounds fucked. So like so like that's something I need to like remember, and I need to remember what key the song's in and what key we play it in. I think it's recorded in G and we played it in A or something. But yeah, so there are sort of things like that. And I mean, like I've got my pedal board out at the moment. I'm trying to figure out the tones for the tour, and like my equipment has changed over the years. So trying
Yeah.
to translate like the sounds of what we did on the record and how we used to play it when we first started touring it to what, you know, things look like now, is also like a something I need to navigate. But I like that shit. It's nerdy stuff. It's fun.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the little intricacies that the little sort of music nerd in you absolutely froths. I get it.
Yeah.
And look, before we close out, only because our fans are big emo kids at heart, will they get the pleasure of hearing your Welcome to the Black Parade cover in the live show at all?
I don't know. That's a good question. We did it. We played it last year we did a free show in Melbourne at the Punters Club, and we did it there, and that was fun. Um, will we do it again? I feel like maybe. I'm not too sure. I was kind of thinking about doing something else, but we can have a think. It always takes me so by surprise how important that moment was to a lot of people. Um, I just remember like I was in the van um in 2019. I think we were touring Best of Luck Club or something. And we're in the van in the US, and one of the people in the band um put on what's the other one? The other My Chemical Romance song. Oh my God, it completely escaped me.
From the same album?
No, 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 it's on Three Cheers. Oh,
Oh, like
I'm not okay.
I'm not okay.
And
Yeah.
they put that song on, and I think someone was like, "Put on Black Parade," and they put it on, and I remember listening to it in the van, and I turned to my drummer Jess, and I was like, "This would be a crazy like a version," and and Jess was like, "Why don't we do it?" And it was sort of in the back of my mind, like for ages, and then we got the call up to do it, and like, and I've said this before, but it took a bit of convincing to get it over the line. I think that there were people who knew how important the song was to so many people, and I think they were a bit worried about if it went bad,
Okay.
which is fair enough. I get that. Like, there's um, I think that there was quite a sense of like duty of care with that kind of thing, which I appreciate. But thankfully they did it, and it paid off for everyone. Um, but yeah, it's I say that in this job, like you every now and then you get a gift, and it's like, and it's usually something that you don't even think about that kind of falls into your lap because of a whole lot of other things that have happened in the past, and like just like, you know, how you amass, I guess, like momentum or ideas or whatever. But it's like the thing that's on the bucket list might be something, but the thing that actually happens might be something else that you don't anticipate at all. And there have been a couple of those moments in my professional life, and the Black Parade moment was one of those. So I feel like eternally grateful to that song, and also to everyone involved in that performance, because it was a real like effort, and there were a lot of us involved.
It's a behemoth of a song.
Yeah, I remember playing it through the first time in the rehearsal, and I was just like, what the fuck have I done? Like, because people were playing it badly, but like I just like realized, I was like, oh my God, this is like so ambitious. What have I done? This is the end. But nah, it came through, and yeah, like yeah, I think I need to, like, I think it's one of those things that I don't want to overplay it. You know,
Yeah.
I don't want it to become like the thing that people come for. But I also want people to hear the thing that they like. So I don't know. I'll have a think about it for this tour. I actually hadn't thought about it, so I'll keep that in mind.
Well, hopefully, I mean, even just do it at the Triffid. We're in Brisbane, so just do it at
Just
the
at the
Triffid, even for
Triffid.
us.
I do love the Triffid. The Triffid is a special place. Yeah.
I think I saw it was your third favorite venue in Australia, if my research
Yeah,
is
something
correct.
like that. Yeah, I do love the Triffid. It sounds so good, that place. And it's just like, it's always a good show. People
Yeah.
love that spot. Yeah,
It's a great
rad.
spot. Well, for everyone listening, make sure you pre-order B Grade University Reunion Edition for the 10th anniversary of Alex Lahey's debut EP, and catch her live on tour in Brisbane, Melbourne, Sydney, Perth and Adelaide in late August. Head to alexlahey.com.au for tickets. Alex, thanks so much for taking the time to have a chat.
That was a great chat. Thank you so much for that, man. I appreciate it. And I'll see you in Brizzy.